Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in and pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of The Gaming Gang. Tonight is Wednesday, November 4th, 2020. This is episode 567 of The Daily Dope. It's kind of funny. I was like looking down. Was I like counting my fingers? 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's right. 7. This is your first time joining me. Welcome aboard. Thank you for taking some time out to listen to me Babylon. But do want to point out this is a very, very casual show. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. So we talk about board games, card games, role-playing games, miniatures games, war games, conflict simulations. Pretty much anything that's going on your tabletop is up for discussion here. Every once in a while, I'll talk a little PC gaming like we will tomorrow, because we'll have some freebies from the Epic Game Store, or a freebie from the Epic Game Store. Sometimes talk a little pop culture, but for the most part, it's all tabletop gaming around here. So, as I said, if it's your first time popping in, welcome aboard, kick back, relax. Of course, if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ding that bell. Not only will it let you know when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube, it'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as the review of Static Dawn, which will be up tonight. It is in the can. It is up on YouTube. It has not been made public yet. So that is coming tonight. Of course, because this is a live stream, do want to point out chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, please chime in. I'll do my best to respond. And of course, I should point out when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. So, a Gray Day is first in chat. First out the gate saying howdy, followed up by Dan from No Enemies Here. Beat Cafe is in chat. So is John Vogel. Kabuki Kid is here as well. So chat is off and running. So post-election day. Still not sure who our next president of the United States is going to be. But things are kind of becoming clear. We think. So, let's blow off some steam after Election Day. Let's kick back, relax. Oh, so, yes, Dan from No Enemies Here was first out to shoot in chat, a Grade A points out. Anyway, so let's kick back. Let's have some fun. Let me fix something here for a second. My chat box is way too large. There we go. So Kabuki Kid says, yeah, uber stressful. Barely slept. I went to bed at 2:30 a.m. Chicago time. So, and then I was up about 9. So my best friend Elliot Miller was up till about, I think, midnight, but then he was back up at 4 because he couldn't sleep. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Flaming Heron's here in chat. Good to see you, Flaming Heron. All right, so let's hop on into the news. Because arriving next week from Looney Labs is Star Trek Voyager Flux. Here's the dope. Flux is a card game in which the cards themselves determine the current rules of the game. By playing cards, you change numerous aspects of the game. How to draw cards, how to play cards, and even how to win. At the start of the game, each player holds 3 cards, and on a turn, a player draws 1 card, then plays 1 card. By playing cards, you can put new rules into play that change numerous aspects of the game. How many cards to draw or play, how many cards you can hold in hand or keep on the table in front of you, and most importantly, how to win the game. There are many editions, themed siblings, and promo cards available. Journey home from the Delta Quadrant aboard the Starship Voyager. In Star Trek Voyager Flux, the 4th Flux excursion into the Star Trek universe, Captain Janeway and her crew will encounter familiar enemies, the Kazan, species 8472, and of course, the Borg. The classic ever-changing rules of Flux are further enhanced by twists like the Caretaker and Ancestors. Ancestors Eve Janeway from the future might even show up in a time ship. Star Trek Voyager Flux is for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays in 10 to 40 minutes. It is going to carry an MSRP of $20 when it hits stores. Nice. Flux is all right. I can go for some Flux every once in a while. It's not a game that jumps off the shelf a whole lot to get played by the gang and I, but if you're a Star Trek fan, if you like Voyager, this is probably something you'll want to pick up. I got to be very honest, I watched very little Voyager. I watched a few episodes first season. I was like, nah. Just didn't do it for me. And it's one of these Star Trek shows that will not get a high definition treatment because it wasn't shot on film. It was shot on video. So no way to actually give it a HD treatment. Moving right along, this December sees the release of Grindhouse from Everything Epic. And here's the dope. You receive an invitation to take part in a mysterious contest at the Grindhouse, an old mansion that once stood as the largest slaughterhouse in the state. Why would they have a slaughterhouse with a mansion there? Just okay. All right. The invitation is signed simply by an individual known as the host. The letter promises you the opportunity to play a game to win a reward greater than you could possibly imagine. I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit. You arrive at a decaying mansion on a hill along with 5 other strangers. A tall, narrow man in a tuxedo opens the huge, ominous doors to usher you inside. Thank you for attending this evening, the host says in a deep, I guess I got to do this. Hang on. Thank you for attending this evening, the host says in a deep, ominous voice. The entertainment will be to die for. The host bursts into a sinister, echoing laugh. There you go. I don't know if that was echoing, but behind you, the door slams shut, and the sound of a heavy deadbolt clicks into place. Click. You and your fellow guests are trapped at the mercy and the whims of the host. Shall we play a little game? Grindhouse is a narrative horror game for 2 to 6 players where you would be considered lucky if survival only costs an arm and a leg. While survival is the ultimate goal, each player has a classic archetype with a secret motive. Some characters, like the Doctor, might try to keep everyone alive, while the psychopath will surely attempt to split everyone apart. Others, like the pianist, just want to keep their hands intact. For those unfortunate souls who do perish in the house, the game is not over. Players may return as ghosts to haunt the remaining survivors as they try to make it through the grindhouse unscathed. After exploring all 5 randomized rooms in the house, any survivors left total up their score to determine the winner. Grindhouse is for 2 to 6 players, ages 15 and up. Plays in 45 to 60 minutes. It is going to carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it arrives in December. There is quite a lot coming from everything Epic, and it's a lot of it's hitting in December. Now, I don't know how much of it is new. I'm pretty sure Grindhouse is new, but I think some of these might be some titles that are coming back in print for everything Epic. I just found it very interesting. I think there's like 4 or 5 different titles, and we've already talked about one before this. So kind of cool. Kind of cool. So Flaming Heron mentions that Star Trek Voyager is a hell of a lot better than Star Trek Discovery. Another show. I watched a few episodes of it, and I was like, no offense, this just isn't Trek. In my opinion, it's just not Trek. Plus, it's supposed to be, what, 200 years before the original series, but all of their technology is far more advanced than it is in the original series. I was like, what? Hey, I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm just saying, to me, it's not Trek. It's just me. Just me. All right. And Mo Winius from York is in chat. Good to see you, Mal. Now shipping from GMT Games is Apocalypse Road. And I've got the dope. In the bleak future, after the collapse of our modern technological world, most of the structures we hold dearly today are no longer effective. The things that brought us comfort and ease have fallen into disrepair and disuse. Central governments have given way to localized strongmen. In some places, the world is nothing but a vast wasteland. And in other should be locales, but it says locals. And in other locales, mankind thrives by calling back to its pre-modern lifestyle. Through it all, men still choose to compete and challenge each other in the various arenas. Auto racing is one of those sports that will not die, but the rules no longer apply. The racing circuits are no longer about speed and guile. Now they resemble high-speed demolition derbies. The most famous organized racing competition of them all, the Apocalypse Road, is run by callous thugs and monsters who encourage drivers to arm their cars and literally destroy their opponents. It is the Roman Colosseum reincarnated. Over time, new rules and organizational structures have taken hold. 10 teams now compete across the Thunderverse in a season-long show of firepower and twisted metal. Drivers work as part of a team struggling to complete laps under machine gun and even missile fire. The tracks, falling into decades of disrepair, are a jumbled mess of jumps, joker lanes, and dirt. Much like the gladiators of old in a time of intense anguish, the chance to be a hero, even for a day, calls drivers out to risk life and limb for wealth and food. The arena beckons. Will you take the wheel? Apocalypse Road is a race game using the Thunder Alley / Grand Prix engine. Players attempt to score points by crossing the finish line, somewhat like roller derby, and by eliminating opposing cars. The first team to 15 points wins the event and gets a double portion of foodstuffs as a reward. Apocalypse Road is for 2 to 10 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 60 to 90 minutes. Does carry an MSRP of $72. Sweet. I really liked Grand Prix as well as Thunder Road. I thought those were really, really well done racing games. And I am the first to point out, I am not a huge racing fan or fan of racing games. I'm not a racing fan, period. I don't watch racing. But even racing games are kind of like, eh. But really did like Grand Prix as well as Thunder Alley. So this is going to be a little different. Use some of the same mechanics as well. This could be pretty cool. We should see this. I Can't tell you when we're going to get that package from GMT, but we should get a peek at this. But it is shipping, so I would think next couple of weeks or so, maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll see. There are actually quite a few new titles that are shipping from GMT, so stay tuned. I'll be sharing more news about them. All right, so next up, I am going to talk about the latest releases from Paizo Inc. for Pathfinder and Starfinder. Not as many as usual, but we still do have 5 releases. Do want to mention, if you have absolutely no interest in Pathfinder or Starfinder, go grab a drink or have a sandwich, take a stretch, take a walk, because it'll take a few minutes. Anyway, they've got plenty in store over at Paizo Inc. for both Pathfinder and Starfinder players and GMs this month, including the highly anticipated Pathfinder 2nd Edition Beginner Box. Here's the dope. First off, let's talk about the Beginner Box. Take the first step into an amazing world of fantasy adventure. The Pathfinder Beginner Box contains everything you need to learn how to play the Pathfinder role-playing game, including rules to create your own fantasy hero and tools to make your own amazing stories. Will you be a courageous fighter, charging headfirst into battle, or a sly rogue, moving quietly to strike at foes from the shadows? Maybe you'll be a knowledgeable wizard, wielding incredible arcane spells, or a wise and pious cleric, using the power of your deity to shape the world for the better. It's all up to you. Inside, you'll find a rich toolbox filled with everything you need to get started, including rules for character generation, an introductory adventure, guidelines to build your own campaign, character sheets, full color map, character pawns, and dice. This deluxe box set is an ideal introduction to the Pathfinder role-playing game, leading the way to a lifetime of adventure. The Pathfinder Beginner Box includes an 80-page Hero's Handbook, including rules for character generation, solo adventure, skills, spells, and equipment. A 96-page Game Master's Handbook containing an introductory adventure. So it sounds like you've got a couple of adventures, one solo and one traditional RPG adventure. Over 20 pages of monsters, rules for building your own adventures, as well as magic items. There's 4 pre-made characters, so you can jump right into the action, and 4 blank character sheets if you want to make your own hero. There's over 100 character and monster pawns to use on the full-color, double-sided, adventure map. 4 game reference cards are also included to help players remember their actions. Swing my axe! Gotta have that on my action card, right? Attack! Also includes a complete set of polyhedral dice, including a D20, D12, D10, D8, D6, and D4. This box set will carry an MSRP of $39.99. To me personally, I think that is a smashing idea. Smashing price there, kids. It will be available in PDF, I believe on November, I think it's the 11th. You can get it in PDF for $14.99. Another pretty sweet deal as well. So here's something that's kind of interesting before I move on to some of the other items that are coming this month from Paizo. To me, it seems like the core books, or core-ish books, and I might be wrong, but this is just from casual glance, seem in PDF to be extremely reasonable from Paizo. Because normally we'll see, as an example, we'll talk about Drive-Thru RPG in a moment, but over at Drive-Thru RPG, you can usually expect the price of a PDF to be half of what the physical book is. So if the physical book is $49.99, probably looking at $29 or $24.99 as far as the PDF. That is not so much the case with Paizo. It tends to be a bit less than half price. So pretty nice. Pretty cool. All right. So we'll also have the Pathfinder Adventure Path number 161 Belly of the Black Whale. It is part 5 of the Agents of Edgewatch adventure path. And here's some dope about that. Oh, here we go. Spoilers. Jeez, look out. Having been betrayed by their confidants and stripped of their badges, the Edgewatch agents must perform a daring prison break to spring the wrongly incarcerated Primarch. Old enemies become new friends as the heroes work for an infamous underworld crime lord in order to prove their fealty and receive blueprints to the enchanted prison gallery known as the Black Whale. Oh, I'm sorry, galley. It's like gallery. Huh? It's like, what? Once they've rescued their key ally, the heroes must find a way to clear their sullied names and in the process, exact justice upon the treacherous business mogul who betrayed them in the first place. Damn you, treacherous business mogul! Belly of the Black Whale is a Pathfinder adventure for 4 15th level characters. This adventure continues the Agents of Edgewatch adventure path, a 6-part monthly campaign in which players take on the role of city watchdogs and dole out justice to Absalom's most nefarious criminal elements. This volume also includes new rules and exciting lore regarding Absalom's notorious prisons, the slithering snake goddess Revithra, and a throng of new monsters and villains for urban fantasy campaigns. Each monthly full-color softcover Pathfinder Adventure Path volume, say that 5 times fast, contains an in-depth adventure scenario, stats for several new monsters, and support articles meant to give game masters additional material to expand their campaign. Pathfinder Adventure Path volumes use the Open Game license and work with both the Pathfinder RPG and the world's oldest fantasy RPG. This is going to carry an MSRP of $24.99 in softcover. PDF will be out for $17.99. Then we also have the Pathfinder Bestiary 2 battle cards. Expand your encounters with this massive collection of 450 reference cards, featuring every monster from the Pathfinder Bestiary 2. Each 4x6 card is printed on sturdy cardstock and features a beautiful full-color image of a Bestiary 2 monster on one side, while the other side provides that monster's statistics for quick and easy reference. With each encounter, show the players what their characters are facing while keeping the monster's abilities at the ready, and watch your games come alive. This will be a box set. It's going to carry an MSRP of $59.99. It's showing the PDF is going to be $41.99. That doesn't sound right at all. I think that is a misprint. I'm taking a stab. It's a misprint. I think it's probably $14.99. Dunno. All right, let's move on to some Starfinder action because Starfinder Adventure Path number 34, We're No Heroes, the first chapter of the Fly Free or Die adventure path, is on the horizon. In this thrilling kickoff to the new Fly Free or Die adventure path, a crew of scoundrels, rogues, and misfits finds it hard to survive in a galaxy where everyone has a price. Targeted by a crime boss and his army of enforcers, preyed upon by faceless megacorporations, and hounded by rivals, the crew of the free trader Oliphant line up the big score that will at last make them rich beyond their wildest dreams. Oh, I doubt that a lot. But when their many enemies join forces and the crew loses it all, there you go, I told you. They'll find out there's 2 things in the galaxy that can't be bought: freedom and revenge. It's just another day punching the clock when the player characters, a blue-collar transport crew, are blamed for bad cargo and stiffed of their bonuses. They take a dangerous job smuggling weapons to a world conquered by militant hobgoblins, but one fiasco later, they're in debt to a crime boss and about to be fired. Their only chance is to steal the Oliphant, an experimental cargo hauler with a magical secret, and then survive long enough to collect the payoff. We're No Heroes is a Starfinder role-playing game adventure for 4 first-level characters. It makes an excellent introduction to the game for new players. The adventure begins the Fly Free or Die adventure path, a 6-part monthly campaign in which a merchant crew with an experimental starship tries to get rich, escape interplanetary assassins, and outwit their rivals. Sounds kind of like a Traveler campaign. Without, with magic and stuff. This volume also includes rules for finding, buying, and selling interstellar cargo and using the profits to enhance your starship, a collection of deadly threats, and a player's guide that provides advice and new character creation options ideal for this adventure path. Each monthly full-color softcover Starfinder Adventure Path volume contains a new installment of a series of interconnected science fantasy quests that together create a fully developed plot of sweeping scale and epic challenges. Each 64-page volume of the Starfinder Adventure Path also contains in-depth articles that detail and expand the Starfinder campaign setting and provide new rules, a host of exciting new monsters and alien races, a new planet to explore and starship to pilot, and more. This will carry in softcover an MSRP of $22.99. You'll be able to grab the PDF for $15.99. One thing I find kind of unusual is that usually the Pathfinder adventure paths are about 94 to about 100 pages, thereabouts. Strangely enough, the Starfinder adventure paths are always like 64 pages. Never get longer than that. Although this is an adventure path that is 6 chapters. Normally they're 3. So there's going to be a lot going on in this. All right, finally, we've got the Starfinder Flip Mat Transport Hub. Whether the heroes are trying to flag down a robo-taxi for a night on the town or hopping a grav train to the next city over, no game master wants to spend time drawing every ticket kiosk and waiting room bench. Fortunately, with Paizo's latest Starfinder Flip Mat, you don't have to. This line of gaming maps provides ready-to-use science fantasy set pieces for the busy game master. This double-sided map features a grav train platform on one side and a waiting room and robo-taxi stand on the other. Don't waste time sketching when you could be playing. With Starfinder Flip Mat Transport Hub, you'll be ready the next time your players need a ticket out of town. Special coating on each flip mat allows you to use wet erase, dry erase, and permanent markers with ease. Removing permanent ink is easy. Simply trace over any permanent mark with a dry erase marker, wait 10 seconds, then wipe off both marks with a dry cloth or paper towel. This is going to carry an MSRP for the print edition of $14.99. You'll be able to get the PDF for $10.49. All right, so there was all the Paizo stuff. Woo! How long did that take us? 10 minutes? All righty. So in chat, the Madman's arrived in chat. Very cool. Good to see a Madman. So the Madman says his 103-year-old grandmother who voted yesterday, well, I think it was mail-in ballot, was very talkative tonight. So the Madman's a little late. You didn't miss all that much. So let's see. So there's discussion about the Pathfinder beginner box, the first edition of it, first edition of Pathfinder. So Grade A says it was pretty awesome. I've got to say that I thought the Starfinder beginner box was really well produced, really nicely done, and loaded with plenty of goodies. So there's some discussion about how long. A Grade A says their group played about 8 years of first edition Pathfinder. I have one of my friends from high school, not Scott, who sometimes pops in here. A friend of mine, Daryl, who I don't know if he still does, but he used to run Pathfinder first edition, of course. I think like every Friday night or Saturday night. So, and he did that for quite some time. Invited me to go take part, but doesn't live too close by. So, all right. So, a Grade A says they've moved on, I believe, to Dungeon Crawl Classics and Basic Fantasy. So, Melwania says they've never had one system. Pretty much everybody just kind of rotates. So, I think everybody knows I run Call of Cthulhu, although not as much as I would like to now. I would like to run a kind of gonzo-ish, old school, not totally gonzo, but an old school RPG, fantasy RPG that's maybe not super high fantasy. But yeah, bouncing around some ideas. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. All right, my final news piece. The second issue of Accessible Gamers Quarterly is now available in PDF. Here's the dope from Jacob Woods. When I started Accessible Games in 2010, I knew that people with disabilities were woefully underrepresented in our hobby. I received validation of that fact everywhere. From local conventions to Gen Con to RPG Geek to Twitter, I encountered story after story about the difficulties people with disabilities often face when participating in the hobby. Accessible Gaming Quarterly is my answer to that problem. This zine, funded through Kickstarter by a community of people with disabilities and our allies, raises awareness of accessibility and disability in the RPG hobby. We're bringing together writers, designers, and artists to showcase and represent the many talents of disabled creators and giving a voice to their stories. The second issue of the zine features 7 articles, including Weight of the World by Austin Vanderwolt, Neurodiversity in Role-Playing by Thomas Carter, Gaming from the Blind Side by Richard Bennett, GMing at Public Events by T. Dave Silva, GMing on Your Own Terms by Justin Oldham, Predictably Unpredictable by Damon King, and there is an interview with Tara Clapper featuring Jacob Wood and, you guessed it, Tara Clapper. The digital edition of this zine includes vision layers, which allows users to toggle between different viewing options in the PDF. Choose from color or black and white, with or without background elements, and even text-only options. The PDF is also tagged for improved readability with screen readers. You can score this 44-page zine in PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $7.99. It is also available in print. You can get a print edition of this as well. So I wanted to share this because, especially if you've never had an opportunity to go to a gaming convention, and I know there are a lot of gamers out there who have not had the opportunity to go to, let's say, a Gen Con, right? If you're a role player, your Grail event, your Grail Con is probably Gen Con, maybe Gary Con, but that's if you're really a D&D player. So if you've never been to a convention, I got to point out that one of the aspects of Gen Con that I love, that makes it my favorite convention of all time, and I've said this in the past, so this is nothing new that I'm going to share with you, is I love the fact of so many people, such a diverse crowd can get together in one location. Everybody's having a great time. Everybody's enjoying themselves. The vast majority of people are very respectful of each other. And you see people who probably do not have it easy in life and probably struggle on an everyday basis in life, able to go and have a great time with people, all different kinds of people who enjoy the same things. I love it. I love it so much. Agredi is pointing out that, yes, there's also PaizoCon. PaizoCon doesn't come anywhere close to Gen Con. Plus, PaizoCon's like, yeah, well, if you play Pathfinder or Starfinder. But I wanted to share that because I'm a firm ally of people with disabilities having the same opportunities to enjoy their place at our big gaming table. I really do. I don't think we do enough to make things more accessible to people. So, especially, I mean, role playing games are just a wonder. I mean, board games aren't necessarily for everybody. Role playing games are for everybody either, but role playing games to me are much more interesting. I know this is going to sound weird for me to say this. I find role playing games more interesting than board games because board games have limitations. They have specific rules, and these are the rules. And yeah, of course, yeah, you can home rule stuff and disregard rules and things like that. But there is a specific environment for a board game. A role-playing game, not so much. Role-playing game can be whatever's in your imagination. So, very cool. Anyway, so you can pick up that zine over at Drive-Thru RPG for $7.99. Of course, as I always point out, if you are going to head over to, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild or Storyteller Vault, any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads, and that way, if you do happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. Help keep me around. Cool deal. So great. He's like, Gary Con. There are not a ton of large role-playing conventions. Even Origins, and Origins has role-playing, but Origins is more board game focused. That's not a huge convention either. If you think of conventions, right? If you look at conventions, Origins is not huge. So, all right. Anyway, so a Grady was asking if I've looked at Barbarians of Lemuria. I did long ago. I'm kind of thinking I might do Dungeon Crawl Classics because I just sort of like a lot of the stuff that's in it. Some of it I could do without. Spellburn seems to be like it, I don't know. So Grady says, do I want it to be huge? No, I don't. Conventions don't have to be huge, but it's easier for people to take this hobby seriously when we have large conventions. That's all. So Malwinius said that they received Napoleon Returns 1815. And they did download the rule set PDF from Worthington, and they put up solo rules for combat. Really? I just don't imagine that at all. I don't think that'd be very fun. Huh, weird. So, anyway, do want to point out, Melwinius brings up a good point, that if I share news pieces or reviews or anything like that inspire you to make a purchase from a company, let them know. Let them know, because I know that there are a lot of companies out there that they have absolutely no clue how somebody decides that they're going to go pick up one of their games, right? So you should, when you're placing your order, you should say, hey, Jeff over at the Gaming Gang did a review, or we were talking about this in chat about it, whatever, So anyway, Flaming Aaron says, what? No WBC? Where's Dan? Yes, him and his WBC. I have never been to WBC. If I remember correctly, I think WBC conflicts with either Gen Con or San Diego Comic-Con. So that's why I have not gone there. Yes, I do know it's in Pennsylvania. And a Grade A points out that DCC is great, because I believe that's what his group plays now. Hey, Viper Davis popping in just as we're about to sign off. Anyway, as I was going to say, so this review will be up tonight. It's really short. It's maybe 12 minutes, I think. So, there's another game that was sent to me that I'm like, should I do a review of it without telling these people about it? because it's going to be negative. So effectively, if you should check out the review anyway. I would definitely, if you're interested in the PDF, because the production quality of this book is awful. For one, there's pages glued together that can't really. You'll see in the video. Anyway. All right. So, there you go. Dan's chiming in with WBC. Yes, because Dan's always asking me if I'm going there. Jeff, you going to go to WBC? No. So, Flaming Heron says, yeah, generally all my purchases, besides a few that I already knew of, come from your news pieces, Jeff. I try to share some interesting stuff. I don't necessarily share the same stuff that everybody else is covering. All right. Anyway. And then Great Ace says, not sure if I want to go to WBC after tonight. Anyway, so we got Static Dawn. Later this week, Crusader Kingdoms. My review of Crusader Kingdoms will be up. I'm not going to say anything about it. So far, I have been impressed with the games from Worthington. I will tell you that much. Also got my review of All or Nothing, which is part 3 of the Agents of Edgewatch Adventure Path for Pathfinder 2nd edition. But I don't know if I'm going to get to see the other ones. So I got to reach out to my contact at Paizo, see if we can kind of iron something out so that it's not suddenly I get a huge package of stuff that takes forever to get through to review. So anyway, like I said, I've got Sammy reviewing some Starfinder for me. But Sammy's very slow in getting reviews back to me, so I don't know. I don't know what we got. All right, so Melvinius asks, is that also from Worthington? Yes. Crusader Kingdoms is from Worthington. So, and I also have the French and Indian War, but we have not played that yet. So, a Great A asked, did YouTube just auto dump quality settings? Yeah, it looks like we're getting some lost frames again, gang. Don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I'm going to double check, see what's going on with Xfinity again. Because when I called in and complained, then this all cleared up, and now it looks like it's back. So I will do some packet tests when I'm done with this, and we'll find out. So John Bogle says that they were at WBC when it was Avalon Hill Con, and it was great. Well, if you think about it, the original Gen Cons up in Lake Geneva were pretty much war game. I mean, it was like a lot of Avalon Hill stuff. Of course, yes, they started getting the D&D, the fledgling D&D, but for the most part, those Gen Cons were some miniatures as well as Avalon Hill stuff. All right, that is it for tonight's show. Hopefully, everybody has caught their breath from Election Day, at least those of you who hang out and watch here in the U.S. Be patient. See what happens. I think everybody knows where my affiliation is. It's not too hard to figure out. I had to laugh last night because I talked to my mom, I talked to my brother, I talked to Elliot, and all of them were panicking. And I was like, relax. Like, there are all these mail-in ballots that got to be counted. Some places couldn't even start counting them until Election Day. Chill out. So, anyway, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Daily Dope streams live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of Crusader Kingdoms. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Those of you who watch live, thank you very much for taking time out to hang out with me as I just ramble on and on and on and on. So always appreciate that. But I know there are a lot of people out there who don't have an opportunity to watch live. I love the fact that you watch after the fact, even if you're watching on Memorex. Thank you very, very much. All right, everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night / Thursday morning. I do see a Great A saying, hey, I'm next to Indiana. Yes, I am. I'm not right next to Indiana, but yep. In fact, I used to live in Indiana for a couple of years, not too long ago. All right, anyway, so I'll be back tomorrow. And of course, as I've been pointing out during this never-ending pandemic, here's hoping all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Catch you next time. Oh, you're still here. Well, once again, thank you very much for watching this video. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, click right here. And of course, if you want to see one of the latest episodes of the Daily Dope, click right on up here. And if you want to roll the dice, take your chances, see what YouTube thinks you might like from the channel, give a click right here. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and I'll see you next time.